Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Joe Blurian's Chess Throne. This is Joe Blurian. We're going to be looking at another Sicilian defense sacrifice today, but instead of black, we are looking at a sacrifice made by white. Okay, so we're looking at a sacrifice made by white. Keeping on the idea of the exchange sacrifice though, I want you to now have a look at the board at the position in front of us. White gets a chance to play an exchange sacrifice here. Now, notice the semi-open F file. So by now you should have guessed that the one we're looking at is rook takes on f6, but there's a couple of moves here before white gets a chance to do this. So we are looking at a club level game. It's not important who these players are. They're only about, I think they're only about either one's 1800, I think the other's about 1970. So it's not important who they are or where they come from or anything like that. We're just focusing on the position. We're not looking at the whole game because mistakes were made by both sides. We're just looking at the position and focusing on the tactical idea of this exchange sacrifice. So it's white's turn to play. Obviously white's queen is under threat, and as you saw, the next move was already highlighted just then. So we have f takes on e5, black responds, d takes e5, and now we reach an interesting stage because white has a couple of different ideas that they could play. There's one, their queen is clearly hanging, so we have to relocate this queen to somewhere else, but we don't just want to relocate the queen, we want to do something meaningful with our queen, because who wants to move backwards in chess? We want to keep moving forwards, and besides, this move is almost too juicy to not make. If you can spot it by now, it's queen takes d8, queen sacrifice, bishop takes back on d8, and then rook takes on d8 check, king must move to h7, king h7, and now we reach this interesting stage. We haven't made the exchange sacrifice yet, so we've had to wait a little bit, but now you might think, okay, so now's our time. And you're right, rook takes on f6, pawn has to really take back here, and at this point in time, a lot of people would see that pawn and say, oh great, I'll grab that pawn and hopefully grab the rook over and get some kind of mating, get some sort of mating net. But no. Here we've removed that knight, the defender of a d5 square, because this is a really common idea with this type of sacrifice, guys. Remember how we had that sacrifice in previous videos with rook takes c3, try to get a knight onto e4 joining the attack when we were playing as black? Similar kind of idea, except now that defender of d5 is removed. So now white wants to move their pieces closer towards black's king side. White wants to move their pieces up the board towards attacking black's king. What's the best way to do that? Knight to d5. There's no defender of the d5 square, so now we can move that knight in nice and close towards our king side. At this point, black actually resigned because there is nothing really to stop black's pieces converging on white's pieces converging on black's king, setting up the mating net. At this point, black's really got no other option than to take h4 and then lose the resulting endgame. Okay, otherwise it gets very messy. If they do something like, I don't know, maybe bishop e6, well, they're going to lose the queen to that fork anyway. That's not going to work. Those two pieces, the rook on a8 and the bishop on c8, basically useless. They've done nothing all game, whereas all white's pieces are participating in the attack. So this is game over. I'm going to be looking at another example, but before I go on to that, what I also want to highlight is not just the fact that this knight can jump into d5, because if there isn't a knight on d5, just say there's a bishop there instead, we can still take that bishop, but the pawn will take back and black's kingside will be compromised. Their pawns are clearly doubled. We can maybe hook the queen into g4, hope for a mating attack on that g7 square. Okay, and the fact is these pawns here on c on c7, no, not c7, f7 and f6 and e5, they're going to hinder black's pieces. If black had any more pieces on the queen side, black's going to find it difficult to bring them in to defend their king. So some important things to take into account there. We're now going to look at our next game. Next game between two strong 2200 rated players. Once again, not grandmasters, guys. We're not looking at grandmasters, like really strong grandmasters or world champions. We're just looking at club level play. These club level tactics that they're still difficult to find because it's not as simple as a 1-2 combination. So it's a little bit of thought involved, but we're interested in the idea. So here, clearly, that sacrifice is on. Rook takes f6, which is the first move. Black responds with not pawn takes, but knight takes on d3, removing one of white's pieces from one of white's other pieces from the game. Not such a bad idea, because if you're going to be up the exchange, this isn't such a bad way to go. Okay, you're removing one of white's pieces from the game because black says, hey, if I can stymie the attack that white has against my king, if I can remove white's pieces, I'll be up the exchange. I can have a nice, safe, winning endgame. White's got other ideas, though. So, knight takes, clearly pawn takes, and g takes f6. And now, we're not actually going to play knight to d5 just yet, okay? That knight might go to d5 later on, but white thinks, how can I redirect my pieces, get them closer to black's king? Great way to go about it. There's nothing defending this square now. Knight f5. King h8. Very important move. If king didn't go to h8, then we have nice combination. If, say, we had something like maybe rook to e6, trying to free up the back rank, this is actually going to be mate in 2. We have queen, king has to run across, and we have mate in 2. No way out of it, okay? So, going back though, king h8, only move here. White then plays queen comes out to h4. We're looking to still set up that kind of checkmate again. Black plays a very good move, queen to d8. This defends the f6 pawn, and we're also attacking that weak d3 pawn there. Good move. But now white continues with rook to f1. Great move, bringing one of their last pieces into the attack. White's trying to just do the simple battering ram of rook to f3, rook to h3, smash down that black king side, okay? So here, black gets defenders over, rook to g8, rook to f3, and now rook to g5, because black wants to push that h5 pawn and stop that queen from getting down, attacking their king, okay? But here, white brings their very last piece into the attack, knight e2. Not such a great square for that knight, but I'm not sure where else it was probably going to go. So knight e2, because then you just double up pawns if you play knight to d5 and things don't look that great. Knight to e2, and black makes a fatal error. Rook e to g8. I did say this is a club level game, guys. If there were 2700 rated grandmasters, or if they spent longer on these moves, black would have realized bishop c8 saves the game, because now the attack is really stopped. There's no, you could play knight to h6, but then after bishop e6, it's fine defending that square. You could probably even play rook there to f8, in which case h3. There's no real attack now for white with that bishop move. But black did not make that move in the game. So we have rook e to g8. Pause the video if you want to spot the combination. It actually leads to checkmate. The follow-up is queen takes h7. Bam! Exclam. Okay, so queen takes h7, check. King has to take back, and now white just proceeds to attack this king. There's really nowhere for this king to go. If the king goes to g6, it's mate. So rook to h5, rook takes, king g6. We have a check. And from here, we just start relentlessly attacking this king until mate in 1.
Checkmate.
Knight to e3. As Komodo says, it's checkmate, game over. So, very quick ending there, but I hope you guys realized how potent that sacrifice was, how we cracked open that king's side, get that knight in there to f5, because we can't always put that knight to d5. I will show a game later on where the knight does fly into d5 and cause all sorts of problems, okay? So that's a main key idea to think about, getting a knight to d5 when we remove that defender of that d5 square, but also moving our pieces in, attacking that king, because once that knight's gone and the pawns are double up, that king's very, very weak, okay? So I hope this is instructive and helpful for you guys. Let me know, and otherwise, well, I'll see you guys in the next video.